We are speaking with Professor Dan Ben-David, president of the Shoresh Institution for Socioeconomic Research and an economist at Tel Aviv University. Let's try and take a pulse of Israel's economy at this time. We're still in a prolonged war, extended service for reservists, which is impacting them in all manner of ways in their civilian life as well, and still a situation with the Haredi call-up law, or the draft enlistment law, which has yet to be passed. Give us a sense of where is the Israeli economy standing at this moment?
It's very difficult to say right now where we're standing because so many people are called up and have been called up over the past year. So much of the data is a bit confusing because people who work are not looking for jobs. So unemployment is low. They're called up. The government is spending huge amounts of money, so that has an impact on GDP because part of the issue here is higher expenditures. But that doesn't mean we're better off. The primary issue it's not really the short term, but really the long term. That's where the biggest concern is. Where are we headed, and what's the plan? And here, at best, there is no plan. At worst, the plan is unsustainable. We're talking about a situation where the defense ministry, it needs soldiers. It needs to rebuild the army. We've lost many, many soldiers now, but also it needs to rethink how it's going to be defending our borders in the future. And they decided several months ago that after the war, we're not even talking about during the war, but the steady state after the war, soldiers will be serving a maximum of a month and a half each year, and officers up to 2 months each year. While at the same time, the government is adamant about basically allowing the Haredi men to evade the draft, which exacerbates the situation even more. Now, someone in a steady state situation, I'm not even talking about this past year and a half where people have been doing hundreds and hundreds of days of reserve duty, but in a steady state, in a post-war steady state, serving a month and a half, 2 months, who's going to hire you? And if you're independent, how's your business going to float? Who's going to want to live in a country like that? And that's the biggest concern, this lack of foresight, lack of care, actually, because Netanyahu is probably one of the smartest politicians we have. He gets it. He understands it, and yet he's just plowing ahead, and that is very concerning.
Is that because it's kicking down the road, this issue, in favor of dealing with more acute issues from his perspective?
Oh, very definitely. I mean, he was finance minister, and a good finance minister during the Intifada, and he understood the impact that budgets have on the various sectors in Israel's population, including the Haredim, and he even brags about it when he gives interviews in the foreign press, less so locally. He talks about the fact that when he cut the budget during the Intifada, you saw Haredi birth rates fall. He talked about the need for Haredim to start working and how that began to happen. Haredi men began to work more when their budgets were cut and non-work lifestyles became a lot more expensive for them. And yet the same Netanyahu, as prime minister, is doing just exactly the opposite. And at the worst time possible. I mean, when we do not have money for sectoral needs, we need the money for national needs. We need to rebuild the North, rebuild the South, rebuild the army, rebuild shattered life. And yet he's showering basically all kinds of sectors that are supporting him politically, he's showering them with money, and that's money that's basically defeating the entire purpose of getting them to work, giving them an education, and so on.
So Do you see at some point all of this converging? On the one hand, there's a certain amount of resilience in the Israeli economy, but on the other hand, the ongoing war and other developments can really affect its functioning.
We are a fantastically resilient economy. We rebounded from COVID faster than most developed countries. We rebounded from the Intifada very quickly. We rebounded from wars. We rebound very quickly. What makes this situation different is we rebound because people stay here, have hope, think there's a future. But we're in a certain demographic situation that creates a lot of concern. If we return to the issue of Haredim, they don't teach their children or their boys what they need to work in a modern society. But their share in the population doubles every 25 years, every generation. And we are now at the point where like 50, 54-year-old grandparents, the Haredim are 6% of the grandparent group, but their grandchildren, the 0 to 4-year-old toddlers, are 26%. And this is an exponential function. And these are kids that have been born. It's not like a prognosis for the future. What are they going to study? What happens when they go to school next year, and what happens when they finish school? Are they going to work? Are they going to be the physicians that their own society needs, let alone the rest of us? Engineers and so on. Who's going to defend them? Are they going to defend them and defend us? These are things that need to be decided pretty much now because the kids have been born, and at this rate, we're talking about half the children, half the toddlers in Israel in just 25 years going to be Haredim. And what then? If there is no hope, then we're talking about it. A danger, and this is something that the top Israeli economists warned about a year ago in a letter to the Supreme Court, basically, where the concern is of a spiral of collapse. It happens in other countries. When people jump ship, the first ones to do so are the most educated, the physicians, engineers, in our case, high-tech people. And in a country of 10 million like Israel, all of the high-tech people in high-tech occupations, all the physicians, and all the people who teach them in the research universities, that's less than 300,000. And if a critical mass of several tens of thousands, possibly even less, gives up hope, then there will be no rebounding, and Israel will no longer be in the developed world. And we're talking about a situation that will be very, very difficult to overcome. And that's what's on the table right now. Where are we headed? What kind of a vision is there for the future of Israel? And we need politicians, we need leaders that can outline a vision that will be sustainable.
So on the one hand, you're describing a situation of brain drain and also a demographic trend of a population that right now at least does not have an extensive horizon regarding education, regarding integration. So looking at that forecast, what recommendations would you suggest?
Well, we at the Shoresh Institution, we basically met with the top leaders who were willing to meet with us. We were primarily every one of the opposition leaders and also the education minister in this government, but basically told them there are 4 things that need to be done to stabilize Israel, put us on a track that will be sustainable. And the first one is complete overhaul of the education system. Not even target the Haredim. The education system in Israel in core subjects is the worst in the developed world. Our secular kids, the secular stream is below 57% of the OECD countries. The religious non-Haredi stream is below 80% of the OECD countries. That needs to be fixed tomorrow and in a major way. That's number one. Number 2 is the money. We spoke about it a moment ago, but we are in a situation where it's very clear to people we don't have excess money to give to sectors. And so we need to stop funding schools that do not teach a full core curriculum. We need to stop funding lifestyles of non-work. We need to start focusing on the national good, on the things that benefit the nation in its entirety, and focus basically away from all of the personal and sectoral directions that budgets have been basically going in for many years now. Those are 2 of the main things. The third one is electoral reform. Israel is basically being run by fringe groups for a long time. And most Israelis, be they right-wing, left-wing, religious, secular, are not that different. As witnessed when there's a war, we all join together. We fight for the same cause, and we don't ask questions, what'd you vote for and who'd you vote for? And yet our governments are basically run by very extreme fringe groups, and that needs to stop. We must have electoral reform. We need to have separation of powers between the branches of government and ministers who actually understand something about the cabinet ministries that they run. And the fourth and last thing is the Constitution, to nail this thing down in stone so that the next government, even if the government that will be after this one will fix things, and the one after it won't return us back to where we were.
Professor Dan Ben-David, president of the Shoresh Institution for Socioeconomic Research and an economist at Tel Aviv University.